Scripture that we're reading here is a literal fulfillment that we're seeing in our day.
Yes.
We are literally seeing the fulfillment of this through Israel. They were scattered throughout the nations, which we can see even in verse 21. Surely I will take the children of Israel from among the nations wherever they have gone, and will gather them from every side and bring them into their own land. And this is a prophecy that is given that the Lord was going to bring them back. That He was going to bring the nation that had been scattered, the nation that had been decimated and exiled and dispersed, and then bring them back. We know that when Jesus was on the scene, that He prophesied that the temple would be in ruins. And in 30 AD, Titus came in and wiped out a lot of the Jewish people and destroyed the temple. And as a result of it, it scattered the people. But see, Titus didn't want to just conquer the Jews in such a way, but he wanted to make it in such a way where they wouldn't even ever come back. And in fact, that land was then renamed Palestine. Not Israel, not Judea, but Palestine. And in fact, we still call it that today. But God is mighty, ain't it?
Yes, He is.
Yes.
We even see in World War II and even throughout Hitler's reign the destruction of the Jews and the hatred of the nation of Israel. But yet the Lord brought them back little by little, little by little. And in fact, before they began to come back, there was it was decimated. It was desert. It was really a wilderness. And yet, as they begin to come back, God began to bring new life, even back to the land. And so we are literally seeing in our day prophecy being fulfilled.
Amen.
That He has brought back the nation of Israel. It's a visual that we can see that God is true and that His promises do indeed endure.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
Because Isaiah was written so many years, thousands of years before this has taken place. And yet God is fulfilling these things. And in the same way, how does this speak to us and in our life? To me, this speaks of us that despite the impossibility that we face in our life,
Wrong one.
in fact, we get a glimpse of the impossibility by reading in verse 11 where it says, "And Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Indeed, our bones are dry. Our hope is lost, and we ourselves are cut off." You ever feel like that?
Yes.
Remember sharing last week of Gideon and how the Lord spoke to him to go and attack Israel's enemies. He took 32,000 soldiers with him, and then God reduced them to 300.
Hallelujah.
I jokingly said he needed to write a church, what do you call it, church growth book. How to reduce your church in 3 Sundays. From 32,000 to 300 people. God wasn't increasing them, He was decreasing them. And again, I believe that's a lot of what the Lord has been doing among us, is that He's got us to the place where, again, whenever I read that, I heard in my heart, now it's time.
Come on.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
It's like, okay, you got 300, now it's time.
Thank you, Lord.
Of course, we got a little fewer than 300, I'd say.
Yeah.
See, do I need 2 hands? Let me see.
Thank you, God. Hallelujah.
But yet, nothing is impossible with
That's
God.
right.
Come on.
Amen.
Amen.
And the reason I can take heart is because in the midst of dryness, in the midst of drought, in the midst of this society that seems to be going the opposite way,
Hallelujah.
just like we talked about last week, I still feel and hear the calling.
Hallelujah.
I still hear the calling of God to do what He's asked me to do.
Amen.
And it's my prayer that the Lord still speaks to your heart and you still hear the calling of God to step out and begin to do what the Lord has asked you to do.
Yes.
That if none go with me, I'm going to go.
Hallelujah.
If I'm the only one, I'm going to go because God's told me to go. And it's an encouragement to me because I've read this verse years ago, and this is the word that I know is from God. Ezekiel 37.
Hallelujah.
And in one sense, it can kind of be a depressing word because it's like you're bringing a death in us. You're bringing an end to your people. But then on the flip side of those things, He's going to bring a life. And He's going to breathe upon us.
Yes. Amen.
And sometimes that's how you know it's the Lord. It's not always what you want to hear.
Yes.
Yes, that's right.
Ever notice that?
Yes.
Yes.
Like, Lord, I wish you would kind of just tell it to me in a different way. But yet it's full of encouragement. But yet the Lord is also not a God of just way out there and kind of a mysterious thing and hopes and dreams that'll never take place, but He's a God of reality.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
And the reality is people aren't hanging out the door and sitting down here because they don't have seating in this place. That's the reality, amen? Death. Bringing us to the end of ourselves.
Hallelujah.
And Ezekiel really saw the challenge of it. The dryness of their bones, the deadness. How much deader can you get than dead, right?